Thanks. Good.
Sure.
Well, as you know, my book is Tips, Tales, and Truth. So I always like to have ask the same questions of our guests. And I know you have a tale, and I know you have those three main tips that we're going to get to. So I'd love to know where you want to start. Do you want to start with your tale and then do the tips, or how would you like to go?
Well, I think you heard my tale. Speaking of tales, my dog just walked in. So do you want the essay tips or the tips about the admissions process, the things that I like to tell students and parents more precisely as I begin this? Again, just to let your audience know, I'm a college essay specialist from College Essay Helpers.
Yeah,
That's
well, why don't we start there, because and you know what, earlier when you said, I'm a teacher at heart, and so I often have to remind some of our guests, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So
oh, I love
forgive me if I don't, I don't lead in with people's credentials and where they went to school and where they work for, all that stuff, because your heart and your telling of your tales, the genuine and authenticity of how much you care will come through. So, and you nailed it for everyone there. So anyway, so audience, you can see why I love Betsy. She really does come from
We're
the
the
heart.
Mutual Admiration Society. But I only wanted to caveat it, not to cram in anything or a plug. I only wanted to caveat it by saying to your audience, like Cynthia is the whole thing. She's, as we say, my people say, the whole Megillah. She's the whole thing. I focus on college essays. So my advice on this is not that of a college admissions specialist, but what I would say is, even as a college essay specialist, is you must love every college you apply to, because it's going to show in your essays, particularly the supplementals. Obviously your Common App, your story, I don't even like calling it an essay, I call it story, is one thing. And I absolutely love that process, and we'll get into why. But if you are not passionate, or you do not know why you have chosen a specific school that is on your list, you are going to struggle with that supplemental. It's going to be very, very hard. And a lot of really problematic supplementals come from, it's very clear that it's just been something thrown on their list. So how do you do that? Well, you make sure that you really are looking at the qualities. And Cynthia beautifully asked me, well, why did you choose one over the other? I told you that they were qualities. Syracuse and BU, like I always talk about the bumper sticker syndrome. Like, they were very comparable schools, both excellent. So it wasn't that, it wasn't a brand name. So what was it? And I gave you really clear reasons why I chose it. I do have one tip that probably dips its toe into the advisory world. So Cynthia, I want to know what you think. But I feel like what I watch from my students, because I look for keeping their stress down, is huge to me, and their confidence up. And their confidence comes from seeing that they can be good writers, they can be good thinkers, they can take responsibility, they can learn independence. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, you feel like you won when you get the results. So I do think it makes sense for students to be applying to a few on the list of, they love all the colleges early. Doesn't mean ED per se, but get some early admissions in there, because two reasons. One, it's really nice to have that in your back pocket. It gives you such a good confidence boost, knowing December 15th, like a little bit of what your future holds. And two is, if you're not getting the responses you want, let's figure out why. What is it in your application that maybe could be better? Or, wow, those might have been really reaches for you. Or in this case, wow, they got 100,000 applications. That just is random and it sucks, but them's the breaks. Let's add a few more colleges to your list. So
Yeah,
that's what I would say about that.
we are of the same mind of applying, early, and we have this thing called test drives in our essay camp, but it's taking your application out a little bit for a test drive. And so, Betsy's one of our essay coaches in the summer as well, but our students who come out are ready to apply, hit send by September, October, and some of them receive notifications, certainly by Thanksgiving, and some as early as Halloween. And you're absolutely correct, Betsy. What it does more than anything is it boosts their confidence through this process. This process is daunting because a teenager, all they're doing is they've submitted applications and they're waiting in some cases months for a decision. It's kind of like going in to get tested to see if you have, cancer or something crazy. And imagine if you had to wait for your results months later. It's anxiety provoking.
Yes.
I just don't, it's sometimes feels like a little bit of an inhumane process, but when you get that yes, you just feel like, someone wants me, someone picked me, I have somewhere to go. And teenagers know cognitively that they're going to get into, if they've done the process correctly and made their list appropriately, they're going to get in. They cognitively know that, but until you see the piece of paper or the email or the yes and all the confetti comes out, you don't really believe it until you see it.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge confidence booster. But I like also what you said, that it's a way to re-examine like what didn't work, if we're getting too many wait lists or deferrals or maybe denies. So that's another good reason to apply early. So
yeah, and the other thing you just mentioned that triggered for me is the deferral. Is I'm sure you've talked about it a million times. That's not the end of the road, and that's not a rejection, and it's not even a wait list. Like, there are things you can do, so let's do them. Let's write that letter of continued interest. Let's, there are things to be done. So.
Okay, so are we on number 2 or are we on number 3? I can't remember.
I think we are talking about an applicant that I remember.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah, well, you had 3 tips, college.
I do have that. Yes, sure.
So this what you were just saying was about a real student?
Well, my upcoming was about a real student, but I can do my tips about college essays first if you'd like.
No, tell the tale about the student.
All right. Well, I just love this girl. So I was working with a nonprofit this summer called City Squash, and it's in the Bronx here. And what happens is children from lower income communities, usually first gen, possibly coming from, they're the only people in their family who speak English. It's an unusual or specific demographic. They come to this program and they start in 3rd grade playing squash. So it is an athletic program, but it provides structure and support. And as these kids go through the process, they also get academic support, school support. Their support in this program goes all the way through college, believe it or not. They're wonderful. And a lot of the kids become so good and they're playing competitively that they are applying for scholarships and things like that. They get awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships a year. But the one that I absolutely just moved me was I was working with a young Hispanic girl, and she came to this country when she was a young child. She did not speak English. She's undocumented, and her family was not particularly supportive or kind, to be honest. And when she went and was plopped into 3rd grade and didn't speak English and couldn't do what the kids could do and was embarrassed and shy and didn't have friends, and the teacher just didn't really want to deal with it. And her mother actually said to her, if I'd known you were going to be this stupid, I wouldn't have bothered bringing you. Wow. Like, it took me a moment to recover from when I heard that. It was horrible. And so anyway, well, this girl, not only, as you can imagine, did end up getting the help, did end up not only learning to read at grade level, but excelled. She got involved with City Squash after many people had. She had never touched a racket. and really, really worked very hard and ultimately became captain. The thing with this girl, she applied to get into a program at a better school in the Bronx. And she was told by the program, oh, you're undocumented. We're sorry. We didn't realize that. You can't go there. She had tried to go to another program. They said, oh, you're undocumented. You can't go there. Well, she never accepted that. And sometimes she won, sometimes she didn't. But the fact is no one was going to tell her what she couldn't do. And ultimately, she wrote the most beautiful essay about that. And she is currently waitlisted at Mount Holyoke, phenomenal school. I hope she gets in. She has other schools that she has also, I believe, either gotten in or waiting to hear from. But I think that's my other point is she is going to go to a school and she has leadership qualities, courage, honesty, vulnerability, authenticity, obviously athletic skills and determination. That is what makes someone a great adult. You know, you haven't finished when you get that letter of acceptance. That's the beginning. That's not the end. So parents, if you think that's the end goal, wrong. We are raising adults, not robots to get into the school of the bumper sticker you want on the back of your car. That is not, I think you have a great quote about this.
The destination is not university with a U. The destination is university, YOU. And you know what you and I do, Betsy, is help students just get to that next stage in their life, right? College is just the next step in reaching your ultimate, happy future.
And so, you say it's not a prize to be won.
Yeah, it's not a prize to be won. It's a match to be made.
That's right. And so with this, and it happened to be an incredibly beautiful essay, beautiful, poetic, lyrical, authentic, and highlighted who she is, what her values are, and what qualities. Oh, great. 1 second. Sorry about that. What qualities she can demonstrate that would make a college want her. So heaven help anyone in this girl's life who says she can't do things. And sometimes, like Eminem says, it's the haters who made him succeed. Like, sometimes you need those people, but boy, is she going to show them. She's tremendous. I loved her.
Well, parents and mentors, coaches who are listening now, there's something else that I talk a lot about, and that is the messages, the soundtracks we hear will help us or hurt us. And if you are a champion of a college-bound teen, understand that your words matter. And so every time you are giving encouraging words, because that's why you're here and that's why you're listening, so I know they're positive, understand that you may not know what you're combating. And for every positive and encouraging message that you give to, in this case, this young, wonderful woman, Betsy was combating the other messages, the other soundtracks that she had heard in her past. Mm-hmm. So it really takes like 5 positive messages to sort of, outdo, the one memory. So just keep doing what you're doing and keep giving positive and encouraging messages, because it takes courage. I don't care who you are, what background you're from, what race you are, where you live, where you go to school. It takes incredible courage to go through this process. And I dare say very few adults would want to put themselves out there to be judged and wait to be admitted or not admitted. It is an incredibly humbling process. So I just think all of our teenagers are superstars for doing this. So, what a great story.
Beautifully put. I love that.
What'd you say?
I love that. That was beautifully put.
Well, okay. So I think